And welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is another patron roster review. This is Emperor Goobatine from Rebel Force Bespin, and he is a definitive whale. Been playing for about a year, and man, he has already got the meta team, if not the meta, the best team in the game. This is my personal opinion, so take it with a grain of salt, but I don't drop out of like the top 10, rarely ever drop more than once, normally wake up in the 4th or 5th slot every single day after like 20 hours. It's pretty crazy how absolutely overpowered this team is. And I've looked at his mods. He doesn't have the fastest speed on his arena. That's probably why this particular team does drop a little, but still he's only 11th and he still doesn't have a whole lot to climb. So in my opinion, the arena team he's running is the best meta team you could possibly have. Nest is really an amazing character because she allows for you to do turn meter reduction, giving you control at the beginning. But I want to give you a really fun alternate arena team because you said you just want this to be a fun video. You don't really need a roster reviews per se because you kind of know what you're doing. You've watched a ton of my roster reviews. You know what you're doing. You watch my videos. You watch other people's videos, and you've got a lot of money spent in the game. So you've got a lot of the great characters. You really wanted it to be more fun. So we're going to talk about arena fun a little bit, some ships, just kind of some things maybe you should be working on in ships, and then some things you should be finishing up or working on character-wise in the game. There's surprisingly a ton you're going to get in this video, a lot of stuff you're going to have to work on. And so the first is we're going to talk about arena, and I'm going to give you some target goals for your speed, okay? So your speed on Darth Traya, Darth Nihilus, and Darth Scion should be at least a target of plus 90. For where you're at in arena, for how long you've been playing, for everyone that you're facing, you really want at least a plus 90 speed. Now, that may sound really difficult, but it's really basically a plus 12 speed on everything and a 30 speed arrow, and that's not super impossible, especially as a whale. You should be able to target finding specific mods for credits that you can roll up and get those 9s, 10s, 12s, 14s, and get some of those kind of mid-grade mods that are, you know, around 10 plus speed. That should give you your target of plus 90-ish for Traya, Darth Nihilus, and Darth Scion. And then the team I'm going to suggest is actually a Darth Traya lead. Nobody really runs Darth Traya lead in the top 10 anywhere. She's not found in the meta report. I've looked on swgoh. Nobody is tracking her as their lead. I know a lot of people say use her as a lead, but I don't see it either in the stats on swgoh and on my own personal leaderboard. But I would actually Zeta her leadership, and this is why it's going to come useful down the road. So you're going to want to make sure that you have it. So make sure that you get her lead, because speed is going to become slightly less important down the road. And so because of that, her leadership is going to become evolved into more important than Emperor Palpatine lead is right now. You're just going to have to trust me on this, but I would definitely Zeta her leadership. And with her leadership Zeta, you're going to be able to put her in the #1 slot in the lead position, pull Emperor Palpatine out, and then it opens up a slot in the back by Nest, and that will be none other than Mother Talzin. Now, why this is a very important team and why you should try it out and tweak it and see how it works for you is Mother Talzin is the singular counter to Traya. She's the literal singular counter to Traya. I know a lot of people think Rex is, and Rex is a really good leader, but you're going to see the triumvirate for a very long time. 6 months probably. We're going to continue to see the triumvirate just dominate in arena. So it's not going anywhere, and so it's not going to hurt you to do a Traya lead. But with Traya lead, you've got the triumvirate. They're dastardly. But in the back 2 slots, you're going to have your Nest and Mother Talzin. Now, the target goal for Mother Talzin and speed for you, for where you're at in your leaderboard, is going to be approximately 110 plus speed. That's a big bill to fill. That's actually a lot of secondary speed. And Nest, you're going to want to get around 125 speed. Now, these are goals. I'm not saying you can do this right now. I'm just saying you need a target goal so you know what you're going for speed-wise. Now, when you put 125 speed on Nest, it's going to make her about 290. And when you put 110 speed on Mother Talzin, that's going to make her around 230. Now, with the turn meter reduction that Nest is going to do, it's going to allow your team to go first and allow for Mother Talzin to apply her plague. Now, what happens is you get days, turn meter reduction, and then immediately you're going to put out plague on the entire team. And what's going to happen, because she's your next fastest, is she's going to lock all those debuffs on the opposing team. So even if they're running Emperor Palpatine or whatever, you're going to, it's the counter to Traya and her cleansing capability. And so Mother Talzin is then going to use Ichor Lightning a lot and going to continue to just destroy the characters from within. But what it does is it really shuts down the most powerful part of Traya. Other than Isolate, this is the most powerful part of Traya, is the ability for her to cleanse her entire team every turn. What it does is it makes your Scion actually taunt, because basically when you go Traya versus Traya, you have no tanks, because the tanks aren't taunting, because it's constantly it's being cleansed and stuff like that. And so there's not that passive taunt that normally occurs when there's a pain on someone, because it was cleansed before their turn. So you need that to stick, so your Scion does what he's supposed to do, and Mother Talzin is the secret trick to that. But you've got to get your Nest to go first, and then Mother Talzin second. So goal for speed on Nest is plus 125, and then goal for speed on Mother Talzin is 110, and then the other three, Traya, Darth Nihilus, and Darth Sion, plus 90. Those are the 5 characters that matter in life. That's all that matters. Try to do that, and then play it out and see how it works, both manual battle and auto battle, and come back to me through Discord and let me know how you enjoyed it. I'm actually making a video on this particular team. It's going to be really, really fun, but I'm telling you, this is a really fun future meta team that's tweaking who the leader is, but you're going to have that Zeta. Now let's go ahead and move on to ships. Now, for 1 year, and being a whale, you're doing pretty good, but ships, I noticed that, you know, your top 100, you could be doing better. I will highly suggest that you actually start to focus on some differing ships, one of which will be Home 1. That's right. I highly recommend you start to spread out. You've got your Thrawn's ship maxed out, so I would move over to Home 1 and start to max this ship out. This is an offensive powerhouse, and you're going to need 2 for territorial wars regardless, and you may want to switch in Arena at some point to the Home 1. So my thought is, this is the next capital ship you should really start dumping all your prestige into. That's my opinion. And then I'm going to give you 4 reinforcements I feel like you should be focused on, and you want to max their reinforcement abilities. And the first you already actually have maxed out, and that's Slave 1. You've got his reinforcement ability totally and completely maxed out. So good on you for that. That's the first one. The next is going to be TIE Advanced. You really need to max out his reinforcement ability. So if you're wondering, where should I be spending my reinforcement ability? I'm telling you right now, I'm giving you 3 ships that you need to spend your reinforcement abilities on. That's 300 reinforcement abilities for 3 ships to max out. And the first is going to be TIE Advanced. Get this reinforcement completely maxed out. Put them in your initial lineup or your backup lineup, and watch what happens when he comes in and then gets offense up from Thrawn. He'll hit for over 100k. It's gorgeous. You're going to absolutely love him coming in off the bench. Absolutely amazing. The next one is going to actually be Phantom 2, and I would max out her ability, the Covert Strike, because as soon as she comes in, the very next turn that Thrawn takes, he's going to be able to bring another ship in. It's going to help you flood the battlefield with your ships. And this ship puts target lock up, which really helps with your target lock team. She goes stealth, so this ship is really hard to hit for the opposing team, just like any ship that goes stealth. And then you're going to want to max out this ability right here, maximum impact. Max it out all the way, because this one does around 80,000. So when she comes in off of the backup, I'm calling the ship a girl, it's a she, the Phantom 2. But when she comes in off of the backup, she's going to do 80k to a ship, probably finishing it off kind of like a Poe Dameron hit, and then you're going to immediately be able to bring another reinforcement in right away. I actually recommend TIE Advance first, then Phantom 2 second, so you can flood the mid game with a couple of ships back to back, and you want to make sure that you get TIE Advanced out in time for that offense up, so that way he can get that over 100k hit after having come in off the bench. But those are the 2 most important, is your Phantom 2, get the reinforcements maxed, and then get this ability for Omegas maxed out, and then for your TIE Advanced, get your reinforcement maxed out. And then the TIE Reaper is a great reinforcement, but you're going to have to max the reinforcement. And what's really cool is it removes a bunch of turn meter from your enemies and gives your team a bunch of turn meter, and then defense down. Defense down is a really underutilized debuff, but it makes the opposing team really easy to kill. They have just their defense is down, so you're able to hit them for truer damage, and that really helps you chew through their team faster. And with Darth Vader, he's putting offense down in first, which neuters their team, making it hard for them to actually kill your ships. So, he comes in first, makes it hard for them to kill you, and then you come in, making it easy to kill them. This is a really great reinforcement ability, and it's turn meter manipulation at its finest when it comes in. And then you want to max out Grim Voyage. You want to make sure that you get all 15% turn meter once it's completely and utterly maxed. And then the second would be your defensive battery. Max that out because it's his basic, and whenever ships have basics, they're going to use those a lot, and you want to make sure they're doing as much damage as possible now, especially after the ship's 2.0 rework. This is super important. So Grim Voyage would be your first Omega on this ship, and the second would be defensive battery, and then you want to max out this reinforcement. But again, you'll want to do the reinforcement abilities of the TIE Advanced and the Phantom 2 first, and then move on to the TIE Reaper. As far as your front three ships, I would really highly recommend you actually change your strategy. You've got Biggs and Imperial TIE Fighter in the front three, and that's great, but I had you do Advanced, moving him to the back lineup, so that leaves a slot in the front. What do you do? What do you do? Sunfac Geonosian Starfighter, and you already have his abilities maxed out. I mean, check this out. That's awesome. Air Superiority is maxed, and Grudge is maxed. And this one right here, you're going to want to max. Prime Target's actually the most important to max out over all of them for Sunfac, because he does end up turning this into a non-preventable stun. You want to make sure this is non-preventable. So you're going to want to max out this Omega on this ship, but he would be in your front three. You don't have to worry about his reinforcement. In your front three, and you'll have two tanks that are taunting. They're the best two taunting tanks in the game. And then you'll have your Imperial TIE Fighter doing target lock, and then your first reinforcement will come in. Now, what this does is it creates durability in your front three line. So no matter who you go against, they can't chew through your tanks instantly and right away. They're going to have to play a little bit and try and figure out how to get through these tanks. And by the time they start chewing through your tanks, then you've got your reinforcements coming in, such as your TIE Advanced and Phantom 2 and Boba Fett's and TIE Reaper and all of that. And so just know that those are the ships and how I would do it, especially because of who you're using. And you could continue to use Thrawn's capital ship for all of the strategies I just went over, but a little more durability on the front, because you're going to use your special first with Thrawn, and you're going to want to stick around for that special, so that way you can, target and cut through who you're targeting and cut through. So hopefully that helps in ships. Now let's go ahead and just go into some general individuals that you need to kind of finish up. And one of the first things I saw was First Order. As a whale, you're going to be able to kind of focus on a faction and blast them out pretty quickly. Within a few months, you'll have one faction just totally tricked out. And this is one I would highly recommend. Great for territory battles, territory wars. You can use them in phase 2 or phase 3 of the Sith raid. So this is just a great team. You can even use them at the end of phase 4 after Darth Nihilus is killed. So this is definitely one of those that you should finish off. You've got them all basically 7-starred and gear 8 or 9 or above, and so you're really almost there. It's just a matter of picking a couple characters and maxing them out. Your top row's good, except for Captain Phasma. I wouldn't worry about Captain Phasma so much, but your Executioner, Officer, Unmasked, and regular Kylo, definitely focus on those characters, and also focus on Imperial Troopers. Now you're probably thinking, man, I already have Imperial Troopers tricked out, and you do, but you're close to being completely done, and you're not completely done. So I would definitely finish off Colonel Stark, and if you decide you're going to put in Range Trooper to replace Snow Trooper, then pause all of your development on Snow Trooper, or if you don't think you're going to worry about Range Trooper, then go ahead and max out Snow Trooper. Now, little side note, Magma Trooper is really, really good against a Traya team in Territory Wars. You can use the Thrawn lead with Magma Trooper underneath and put 100% tenacity or higher on Magma Trooper, and you're going to be able, I've got a video, if you ask for it and I'll show you it, but you can kill a Traya team actually really pretty easily, and so Magma Trooper becomes super important in Territory Wars at the end game, which you're starting to get to. So I would make Magma Trooper your #1 priority for the Imperial Troopers, so that way you can help your team in Territory Wars a little bit more than you're able to even now. I did glance at your bounty hunters and notice that you've got them tricked out. Bosk has 2 Zetas. You have his leadership, but his unique really makes him pop. It's amazing. It's one of those Zetas that you read it and you're like, man, I don't really think it sounds all that good. I'm not sure I want to do it. And you don't see a ton of people doing it. So you're like, yeah, it's probably one we should skip. I'm telling you, for everybody that does this, it makes the team totally different. It goes from being a team you can walk over on Territory Wars to a team you lose to on Territory Wars, all because of 1 Zeta. That ability to taunt when he loses taunt, as long as the opponents have protection, is huge. So don't underestimate it. And you've already gone in on 1 Zeta. I would do the 2nd Zeta. In fact, if you really want to know a secret, I'm working on Bosk as we speak for my bounty hunters. I have his 1 Zeta for leadership, and I am now building a Zeta for none other than his unique Zeta as well. So I am actually giving you advice that I'm taking for myself, and I highly recommend you do that because your bounty hunters look just like mine, and they're a great team. They've got some new buffs in the Territory Wars, and so highly, highly, highly recommend you put his 2nd Zeta on. I know you were thinking about that. While glancing through your Empire, I also noticed the poor little Imperial probe droid sitting down here. You know, he's surprisingly one of the top 20 characters in the entire game, hands down. He's a plug-and-play character, can be put on any team, pretty much almost anywhere in the game, and is really, really great when you need a pop. Somebody that can come in and just destroy something and destroy a team. So the Imperial probe droid used in Territory Wars, you could bring him in and, you know, pop the leader and kill it, and then the team, you can come back in afterwards, and the second time you just mop the floor with that team because they've lost their lead and leadership ability. Or you could use him in arena if you're running into some really difficult teams and you're struggling to get through. He is almost always the answer. He's amazing. He's really great in territory battles as well, and he's a lot of the times even asked for in territory battles as far as characters that have to be plugged in. So I would highly recommend continuing to develop him. There's also some really crazy arena teams that center around him and IG-88 when it comes to the target lock synergy. There's a couple of YouTubers that have done some videos, such as Half-Ace, who's in my guild, and some stuff. So anyway, long story short, I'm looking up all your characters, and I would highly recommend you consider developing this guy all the way out to 7 stars, which you'll get 7 stars, and then gear him up all the way. It looks like you are kind of focused on him because you get your stars over time automatically, and you've got him up to level 7 abilities. So it looks like you're, you know, kind of focusing on him as well, but his gear level definitely leaves something to be desired at gear 8. So not sure how, you know, close he is. And the last thing for generalized overview kind of looking is actually for the Phase 1 team, there's now that new Grandmaster Yoda team. I noticed you Zated Grandmaster Yoda, and you've got a lot of the parts, basically the parts to do, you know, 3 to 5 million in Phase 1 without Jedi Training Rey, which is like super exciting. But you have a lot of great characters in here. One of the characters that really makes that team required and pop is Ezra Bridger. Now, Ezra Bridger obviously has his Zeta on Flourish, and it's the Zeta that I'm going to recommend also. So I would recommend Zetaing this for the Sith Raid Phase 1 Jedi team, but this is he is part of the ship Phantom 2 that I'm highly recommending that you develop as a backup reinforcement. And with the Zeta and his abilities maxed out, you can use him both in arena, you can use him in territory battles, territory wars, you can use him with his ship, which is going to make his ship even more powerful, especially his ability that you're going to be using. That's the ability you're going to max out, is his ability. And he's going to be great for Phase 1 of Sith Raid. So he's really just one of them amazing characters, kind of like Han Solo, that's plug and play, that you really should have developed and maxed out. And if there's anyone on the Phoenix squad that I would highly recommend you Zeta, it's definitely Ezra Bridger. All right, Emperor Goobatine, I know you said this was just for fun, and we did talk about a fun arena alternative with Traya the Lead, Darth Nihilith, Darth Sion, Nest, and Mother Talzin. Remember my goal target speeds I talked about? That's really important. You're going to have to Zeta her leadership to make this team pop, but it's actually a super fun team to counter all of the future and current meta. As far as ships, again, like I said, start spending some of that prestige on Home 1. Work on your reinforcements, which is Phantom 2, the TIE Reaper, TIE Advanced for sure. And on Sunfac, get him maxed out for the front lineup. Try the lineup, see what you think. If you don't like it, go back to what you're using. You can always do that, obviously. You still have to finish First Order, Imperial Troopers, and I highly recommend you Zeta Bosk's unique, as well as Zayting Ezra's unique. And then IPD, I would highly recommend finishing gearing off IPD. As always, if you have any thoughts, leave them in the comments down below and keep your gaming on. Warrior, out.